What does being a doctor mean to me? I think being a doctor is a very sacred thing. It allows you to participate in people's lives at the times when they're the most vulnerable. I think in medicine, we think that everything is right or wrong, black and white, when everything is really a shade of gray.
Anything Can Happen is a really wonderful film, really important, and I genuinely hope that it's able to be put in front of parents, families, audiences that could really benefit from this information. The stigma behind cannabis and cannabinoid products is is really harmful because it prevents research from happening, it prevents the studies from happening that then are able to make it into the healthcare system. And because it's not, it's just not even an option that's presented to families that are suffering. And instead, you try a cocktail of different chemical pharmaceuticals with a laundry list of side effects that you have to put your body through for it to maybe not even work. So I think that CBD, while yes, there's, it's also synthetic and everything like that, clearly is having such a difference. And it was fascinating to see the stark differences between unmedicated children versus medicated children versus just taking the CBD. And you can see how much happier they are, livelier they are, their symptoms and distress just diminishing. It's undeniable. And I'm so glad that Dr. Anderson really went to bat and advocated for her child and is now sharing that information with other people. It's unfortunate that it's so difficult to get access to these products. But hopefully we're going in the right direction and we can start to fix some of the cracks that are in our healthcare system. So I'm very glad that Dr. Anderson was able to do this, that this film exists and it can be presented to other families. Really, really wonderful film with great information.
I really like Anything Can Happen. I really, I always say the strength of a documentary rises and dies on the subject matter. And like Anything Can Happen was really interesting subject matter. And like it added to the conversation, it added a new fold to the conversation about like cannabis and all of that. Like something that I never thought about is like the medical effects for like neuroatypical neurodivergent people and specifically kids. And like it asked some really good questions. And like I think that was fascinating to see like the effects and the changes and like to know the story of where these kids were to where they ended up was very interesting and very promising. And it's like, and also shout out to the filmmakers for the skill of using these families as case studies to make a larger point. I think that about how we treat cannabis and that type of stuff in our society and the medical system in our society. And so I think that was really, really well done. So overall, great job.
Anything Can Happen was a very interesting documentary to watch because I've had my own experiences, not with CBD, but just with the topic of CBD in general, where I've asked about it because I've heard, like, people I know have used it, so I wanted to know what the medical standard for it was. And I got a lot of the same answers that these families got, where it was always met with this kind of air of uncomfortability, where the answer was always, well, it hasn't been fully tested, we don't know all the side effects. And the more I think about it, it does sound more like that nervousness doesn't come from a medical standpoint, but more from a political standpoint, because of the fact that CBD is essentially the chemical in cannabis, marijuana, and so there's an attribute that it's just weed, and it's very interesting just seeing these stories, and especially with how difficult it is for some families to manage to even get prescribed CBD, even if it has helped in the past, because a lot of doctors are still very uncomfortable with the process. But it was very interesting and enlightening to hear these stories.
So I was absolutely fascinated by the story behind Anything Can Happen. I think it was such an interesting and topical piece. It was not only fascinating just to learn about how the, healthcare system in America just stigmatizes this treatment that works for so many kids, and just the way that the healthcare system doesn't value what works over the stigma. I thought that was super just eye-opening and insane. But, it was just such a beautiful film. Although it was super heartbreaking at times, it was really amazing to see all these families, kind of find peace and find things that work for them. And it was just really inspiring to see, especially, the kids with siblings, to see how all of their family and siblings kind of support them and, love them and worry about them. I thought it was just super beautiful and just super well done. And I really appreciated being able to learn from this. So congratulations. It was great.
I thought this was really, really interesting. I liked how they did it. I liked how they approached it, of kind of explaining in the very, very beginning, like introducing definitions and stuff like that, and then going through and having a specific person, at least in the very beginning, that you were kind of focused on their story and what their story kind of looked like and how it took shape, because then you are like bonded to that person and what his outcome is, and it makes you more I guess open to like all the different things that they've tried. And even though that this is kind of an like experimental or different treatment plan, because now you're bonded to him and his story and what he's gone through, you really want to see a treatment plan that actually works. So I think that it makes you a little bit more open to it in that sense. So I think that the way that it was structured was really well done. And then just honestly learning more about the success that they've found, and not having a prescription, and how you could run into such problems even though it's the one thing that's worked, and just the different struggles in that sense, I thought was really kind of astounding, but really, really interesting to learn about. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really thorough in not just explaining what the treatment was, but the big struggles that some of these families will face if that is the treatment that works best for them.
What an incredible story. I'm completely floored by it. Completely floored. I had no idea that cannabis could be used in this way, especially for children with these conditions, and that this one doctor figured this out and helped so many other people. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. Thank you so much for making this film. So enlightening, so eye-opening. I can't even believe it. I loved everything about it. I loved the people involved. The interviews were great. The line of questioning was great. It really led you through the story. The storytelling was very clear and also very well directed. And the editing was wonderful, but the direction was really what shaped this thing. It was a beautiful film. It was really well shot, and yeah, just thank you for making it. Thank you for making this incredible story. It's wonderful.